Hey, what's up my people? This is IceRestrict12. Today we're gonna go over the top 5 meta decks for the upcoming format. This is post the October ban list. I do feel like, the ban list didn't really do a lot to change the format, but I do think some of these top decks, especially, number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4, did kind of switch places. So let's go ahead and take a look at these top 5 decks, guys, and see what we can expect for the upcoming months. Now, at the end, I am going to talk about some strategies that I feel are going to have a lot of potential, after the release of Crossout Designator, which is right on the horizon. I feel this card is going to open the door for a lot of these strategies that had kind of taken a backseat for a little bit to come to the forefront of competitive gameplay. So let's go ahead and take a look at them, guys, and see what we can expect for the upcoming months. Alright guys, let's go ahead and get started. Now before I start with the list, let's just get this out of the way. I know it, you know it, Relinquish, best deck of all time. So now that we made that clear, let's go ahead and move on. So the first strategy I want to talk about, guys, it is at number 5 is actually 2 decks. I didn't really know which one to put on top of the other because I feel like both of these strategies have strengths and weaknesses, but it's going to be Sky Striker and Dragon Link. Now I do feel like Dragon Link has a little bit of the edge in this matchup because, even after losing very important cards like Guard Dragon LP, I feel like the consistency was, still there. It can still put a very strong board turn 1, but, I don't see it do it as well as it used to. Now, Sky Striker is a deck that, if you know what you're doing, can be a very oppressive, very grindy, very hard to deal with kind of deck. So I didn't really know which one to put on top of the other. So number 5 is going to be a tie between Sky Striker and Dragon Link. At number 4, we have Tri-Brigade Zodiac. This was by far the best deck of the past format, but after taking the hit of Zodiac Barrage and getting a Fire Formation Tanky restricted to 1, I think the consistency of the deck is not going to be there. It's not going to be as strong going first, but they can still do the things that they do. They still have enough Zodiac cards at their disposal to where they can get a Zeus on the field turn 1, but the consistency of the deck definitely took a hit. Now, in all honesty, it is a number 4, but I don't think there's a big gap between this deck and the top 3. I feel like it's right there, right behind them. Especially with the support that they might be getting in the upcoming sets. I feel like this might be able to put them back on number 2 or number 1 even. But as of right now, until the format kind of shapes itself a little bit, I feel like Tri-Brigade Zodiac is going to be number 4. Coming in at number 3 is Prank Kids. Now this card did take a direct hit during the October ban list. They lost Meow Meow, but I feel like this deck's still gonna be able to do what they do. Just going past turn 1, they are gonna have to pay for the cost of the activation of their cards. But turn 1, same thing, nothing changes. It's still a 1-card combo deck. Any card in this deck can just start the combo. So doesn't matter what they have. You should always be ready for this deck because it is very consistent, since all of these cards can just go off on their own. But I do feel with Meow Meow being gone, turn 1 they can always go into it, but the upcoming turns they're not gonna be able to do that. So they are gonna be losing some field presence because their cards, if you're not familiar with this archetype, they have to tribute themselves to activate their effects. And Meow Meow was something they could use instead of having to pay that cost. Now they are gonna use it the first time, but then turn 2 and 3 and 4 they're not gonna have the Meow Meow to pay for the cost, so they won't have as many monsters on the field. And at number 2, we have Drytron. Now, unfortunately, Drytron players lost Eva. It is now restricted to 1, but they can still use the single Eva that they're gonna be able to play in their deck to get the cards that they need to either combo off or just to have them in their hands for protection for the following turn. Now, with that being said, Drytron is still gonna be that very oppressive turn 1 deck that we all know. It is very hard to beat Drytron because even if you are able to stop everything, they can still end on 2 effect monsters, get a Verti Anaconda, and set on a Dragoon until the next turn. So Drytron, unfortunately, with Dragoon being untouched by the ban list, it's still an oppressive deck. It's still a very powerful deck. Arguably might be number 1, but I think until time says differently, I feel like Drytron will be number 2. And finally, guys, coming in at number 1 is Virtual World. So it looks like Virtual World is back at the number 1 spot. It was the best deck a couple formats ago, and with the support that it received from Konami in the form of Emergency Teleport, this deck is getting better. Now, the cool thing about this deck is that it is very grindy, but it also has the ability to end on some very oppressive cards such as QB Shenshin that allowed you to banish anything that hits the graveyard from the field. And nowadays, every deck depends on the graveyard for one thing or another. Also, the other cool thing about this deck is that, in relative terms, it is a little bit budget. So if you are, a little bit on a budget and you're trying to get into competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, Virtual World is going to be very, very good. Just be ready because everyone is going to be preparing for this deck. So your side deck better be on point as well. All right, guys? And some of the strategies, guys, that I feel have a lot of potential for the upcoming format are Ad Ignister. Now, Ad Ignister is a strategy that was popping here and there in some of the tournaments that took place last month, and it did pretty well. But I feel like Ad Ignister still has a lot of room to grow, and hopefully you'll get some support in the coming months. Now, the next two strategies I want to talk about, guys, I'm very excited about. It is Beat Troopers and Despia. These strategies have been doing very well, especially since they just, were released not too long ago, but they are confirmed to be getting some new support in the coming sets. So we still haven't seen what these two strategies can do at full power, and I'm very excited where they're gonna go from here. And lastly, guys, it's a series of decks that I'm actually very excited about. If some of you guys know, I'm an Eldritch player, but trap decks, guys, I think they're gonna do very well in the next format. The reason why is because with cards like Crossout Designator, you don't want to play cards that are very common. Everybody's playing hand traps, so Crossout Designator is going to be very useful against those, but not everybody plays some of these trap cards that decks like Altergeist or Eldritch can play. So I feel trap decks are going to be, very good going forward, and they're definitely going to be able to dodge, Crossout Designator, because you have to have the card that you're trying to negate in your deck to be able to use it, guys. All right, and with that being said, guys, let me know in the comments below what you think. This looks like it's going to be a very good format. I feel like it's going to be, kind of, a lot of the same that we were used to, but let's see what, what the top decks can do in this new environment. If you like my videos, guys, drop a like, subscribe. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch these videos, and I will catch you in the next one. Enjoy.